Welcome back to the show. But we're going to talk about the Bible, the secret mysteries of the Bible. Enoch specifically today. If you don't know who Enoch is, it's this book of Enoch everybody talks about. He was one of the first people to be taken up into God, walked with God, basically transitioned without physically dying. That's what they talk about in the Bible. So we're going to talk about the lineage and what it all means. The Bible is written in a language called Gematria. Gematria. Gematria is a genius system of learning and understanding abstract concepts in a very structured way. Something that our scientists have a very hard time doing today. But in the old times, they had a specific language to help understand invisible spiritual phenomena in a very practical and logical way that makes sense and coincides with science. Generally, we don't understand how the Bible was written. So it's written in a form called Gematria. You want to look that up, look it up. Now, in Gematria, words have a few different aspects to them. Numerology. Anybody know about numerology? Well, if you heard of numerology before, Gematria actually works with numerology to help you understand what the words mean beyond just the regular word definition. So every letter has a numerical association. So letter meanings. Every letter has a meaning. Not just the words have meanings, but every letter in the word has a meaning. If we read this book, this Bible, without understanding letter meanings, because English does not have that. If I say the word Enoch or Adam or Eve, they have a certain amount of letters in the word. But in Hebrew, there's a meaning for the letter A, a meaning for the letter D, a meaning for the letter A, a meaning for the letter M, that when you put them together tells a story within the word. So I want you to think about how complex that is. And by the way, ChatGPT is your best friend. ChatGPT allows us access to knowledge we could never have access to as easily as we do today, because all you have to do is say, what is the Hebrew word for Adam? What is the Hebrew word for Adam and the meaning of each letter? It will give you a breakdown of exactly what Adam means. In the original Hebrew, it was written in, and even give you the gematria meaning behind it. So it has to do with numerology, it has to do with letter meaning, and it has to do with word meaning. The only one English has is word meaning. We only know the meaning of a word, and we barely know that. We don't have letter meaning, and we don't have numerological associations with each letter. But the Bible was written like this with all three, not just one. So if you are reading the Bible, anybody's reading the Bible and trying to understand it from a practical point of view, you have to have the word meaning, the letter meaning, and the numerological meaning. The last part you need to have to understand the Bible is, this is the most important, experience. This is the secret ingredient, your direct experience of spirit. Without a direct awakening experience, without being the Bible itself, without you walking through an awakening experience, realizing the signs, symbols, and allegories about the words and how the lineage plays out, which we're going to break down today, you don't know what is going on in the Bible. And this is most pastors. Most pastors take word meaning and barely that. They don't even take meanings of words. They just take parts of the Bible and piece together a generalized story. And that's how it's written at an elementary level. It's a generalized story. So most pastors and preachers in the churches today are only speaking on the generalized story of the words. As a matter of fact, A lot of them know the letter meaning and the word meanings, but they can't make sense of it because why? They're missing the most important factor, which is experience. They have no idea what it really means and they're trying to make it make sense to their carnal minds, thinking that they're holy, but they're really the carnal that they speak about in the Bible. They're really fleshly minded. So what we're going to do is go through the lineage, each name from Adam and Eve. We're going to break this down. Now, by the way, the Bible is not a Bible talking about external history. It's talking about you. And what this does, what you're going to see, is the lineage from Adam and Eve all the way to Enoch is literally in you. You'll notice in the Bible, every single place in the Bible that there's a story, you have an older brother and you have a younger brother. Or you have an older sibling and you have a younger sibling. There's always an older and there's always a younger. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's talk about this. Adam and Eve had 2 sons. Who knows what those sons' names were? Anybody know what the sons' names were? Cain is the older brother. Abel is the younger brother. Cain is known in the Bible for murdering Abel. Now, Cain being the older brother, it's the older brother not in time, but it's the older brother in sequence. So it's the first in order. This is what it means. You're born. You're in a physical body. You know who you are, right? You, in the physical body, identified with physical things, identified with your physical name, that is Cain. Cain represents simply the physical existence. It's physical existence, or we can call it formed reality. You think you are your body, you think you are your race, you think you are your socioeconomic status, you think you are these things. This is Cain. Now, there is a second birth that you will have, and it is Abel. Abel is when you have a spiritual awakening. Happy new day. Abel is the spiritual man, symbolized by an awakened imagination. So the imagination, your vivid imagination, is actually God. God is imagination, and imagination is God. This is Abel. This is the second person. So when you see this, who killed who in the Bible? Cain is simply the physical existence. Cain kills Abel. The physical dominated mind, who creates separation, who creates division between the rich and the poor, division between the light skin and dark skin, division between the women and the men. This physical dominated mind, who needs to strengthen its identity by creating enemies, is responsible for all death. And what it does is it kills off your spirit. Now, anybody relate to this? If you've had the experience, you know that your divided, judgmental mind, the one that's always calling you a name, always judging people, always wondering who is who, where you are on the totem pole. Abel. Abel is the spirit man and gets killed by Cain. By the way, why did Cain get killed by Abel, or Abel get killed by Cain? Both of them offered things to God. But God saw Abel's fruits that he gave and approved of it. Cain's fruits that he gave was disapproved. Cain got pissed off at Abel because he gave fruits that was accepted. And he's like, why is mine not accepted? This is not a real story of two people. God is not biased like that. What it is if you only offer physical actions, you only offer physical money, you only offer physical rituals, you only offer your behavior only, not understanding and having spirit involved in it, then your physical actions mean nothing. Basically, if you go to church every single Sunday, it doesn't matter. If you carry crystals around and you do a bowel sequence, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing, is what it says. That's Cain's only offering. So if you only offer something physically, it doesn't affect your life and it doesn't cause a response from the spirit in you. The only thing you can offer that actually means anything is you offer your spirit. You have to enter into the spirit of generosity, enter into the spirit of love, enter into the spirit of harmony. Those are spiritual offerings. God accepted this Abel's and rejected Cain's. And Cain said, why did you reject mine? He said, well, when you start doing good, then I'll accept yours. Cain got pissed off, killed Abel. Now, here's what happened next. Cain gets cursed. He said, you killed Abel. He said, am I my brother's keeper? So he like, do I have anything to do with that? You do. You did it. Now, Cain gets this lineage. Cain gets a lineage of, Cain starts having kids. Cursed kids. This is the multiplied effect of a physical dominated focus. It ends in death. It ends in destruction. You see the wars that's happening today? That's because of that. You see the people who only care about money, who trying to dominate the world and dominate the lower class and keep the lower class low. That's dominated by physical thoughts. Only money. Only power. That's Cain. What happens is this. Adam and Eve have another son later on. So let's put the dot right here. This is time. This is the lineage. Adam and Eve's lineage. So Adam and Eve, they have a lineage. Abel's already dies off and Cain starts to have kids. Next. Adam and Eve have a second son. His name is Seth. Now, younger is the second birth. You are born physically first, spiritually second. This is about you. I got to bring that back to this. This is not about some people who existed. This is about you. You are born physically first and you're born spiritually second. This is the physical birth and all of the negative effects of the physical birth. And this is the spiritual birth. Now, this is when it gets interesting. We talked about gematria. About to break this down. Seth, guess what Seth's name means in Hebrew? It symbolizes a new foundation. Now, this is interesting, right? Okay, this name means and represents a new foundation, a replacement, or the appointed. It's a replacement. Just think about that. If you look up on ChatGPT right now, you say, what is the Hebrew name for Seth? And give me the letters, the meaning of each letter in the name. It will spit back the gematria of Seth. It means foundation. And the replacement. Who is it replacing? Somebody tell me. If this word means replacement, this is foundation and replacement. Who is it who is it replacing? It's not replacing Cain, not yet, because Cain's lineage is going on its own. Seth is actually replacing Abel. Abel got killed off by Cain. And Seth was born. Interesting part in the Bible. The Bible says when Seth was born, that's when people started to believe in God again. Go figure. So you see how the analogy is playing out? You see how the analogy is playing out? So Seth comes, and in the Bible it explains that this is when people started to believe it and come back to God again. Seth. Okay? Seth. Check this out. Next word. or the next one. Seth gives birth to Enosh. Seth gives birth to Enosh. What does Enosh mean? Enosh is the humble beginner. A lot of y'all in here are here to learn. Some people in here are here to get their significance needs met. Cain. Some of y'all are in here realizing that there's an awakening happening in you and you would like to understand more about it. You are on the path of Abel, who was killed off, but now it's Seth. You are here as a humble beginner, ready to learn. So Enosh means mortal man, frail human who is dependent on God. You realize you need God. If you're at that place where you realize I need God, that is being at the level of Enosh. If you think you don't, you're over here. And you'll see where they show that this ends badly. Okay, but here's Enosh. Enosh is the mortal man, frail human, dependent on God. Humble and growing, connected to the divine transformation. That's Enosh. Enosh gives birth to Kenan. Enosh gives birth to Kenan. Now this is the next stage. Remember, this is all, the words are all meaningful. All right, so what does Kenan mean? So after you're a humble beginner, what's next? Kenan, what it represents is a possession or a fixed dwelling place.
Can you move the camera down just a little bit there?
Yeah. So this represents a fixed dwelling place. What does that mean? It means that you are established in spirit. Here you are a humble beginner and you just starting the path. But at the level of Kenan, after you stay on the humble path for a while, you actually get to this place where this is where you dwell most of the time. So once you get to the point where you dwell most of the time in spirit, you dwell most of the time internally, you dwell most of the time feeling into the divine and feeling into spirit. This is when you are evolved from Enosh to Canaan. Now notice the Bible puts this as and presents this as a lineage. But in reality, all it is stages of development mentally and spiritually. Kenan gives birth to Mahalalel. I don't even know how to say that. Mahalalel. Okay? Gives birth to Mahalalel. What does it mean? It means one who praises. So after you are dwelling in this spirit for a while, you start to catch this spirit of life. This is when you start to praise and give thanks and give glory and give joy. You see, who gives praise, who gives grace, who gives joy. Praise and acknowledgments of God, one who praises. Now, I wrote a note here. At this stage, it seems that the steadfast place of enduring spiritual growth has led to wisdom. This is the words that when you break down the words in the name, they mean wisdom, revelation, authority, learning, and teacher. So it gets to the point where the one who praises has had a revelation. So at this point, you've dwelt in this spiritual place within. If you dwell inside enough, it leads to you having a revelation. That is Mahalalel. Revelation. How many people have had a revelation? That the divine God is inside of them. How many have had that revelation? Here go the next one. This is so crazy. So the next one is Jared. I'm not talking about the diamond jeweler. Okay. Jared is, this one has attained wisdom. And it's known as spiritual descent. This one goes back down off the top of the mountain. So this is when you realize who God is. You have a realization. After that realization, you go down the mountain with your wisdom. So it's known as wisdom, leadership, and divine action. Wisdom, leadership, and divine action. That finally leads to the boy, Enoch. How many people have heard of Enoch? How many people have heard of Enoch? Okay. Okay. Enoch. Enoch is the dedicated, disciplined disciple, an initiate. A dedicated, disciplined disciple, the initiate, set apart for holy purposes. This Enoch is known to be taken by God without experiencing death. Why? Because this is a stage of development when you woke up, when you wake up and you are fully dedicated, awakened, having the experience, and you are dedicated to spirit at this point. When you dedicated and you're an initiate, you are with God, but you are in the physical. So yes, you die to who you were. You died totally to Cain. You died totally to your physical existence as who you are. And now you are at the final stage, Enoch. Now check this out. Enoch gives birth to another one named Methuselah, who is called the maker of judgment. And guess who that gives birth to? Noah. Noah is known to bring in the flood. Then it brings in the flood. The flood, who does the flood wipe out? We thought in the beginning that Seth replaced who? We thought it replaced Cain. By the way, what's happening this whole time, Cain's lineage is continuing too. The evil, the mistaken physical, the money hungers, the flesh mongers, this lineage is continuing as this one is. So this is why you got the beauty of spiritual awakening. This is you in this room. You've awakened and you are awakening, going through the spiritual process. While at the same time, you got a world filled with lust, greed, money, and power and fear dominating the persons. So you got both happening at the same time. But guess what the flood does? Oh, you're welcome. Guess what the flood does? Guess who it wipes out? It wipes out this whole lineage. It said the world was filled with enemies of God. All that means is it was a physically dominated consciousness. Now, why would somebody send a flood on that? Is God that mean? He just want to send a flood? No. Now we're going to get into cause and effect. Everybody got this? Take a picture of this. Take a screenshot of this. It destroys Cain's lineage. So if you want to wipe out this insanity in you, you have to go through your spiritual development until the flood takes over this part and wipes it out. That's the whole point. You have to go through these phases. These are you. These are your names. You just need to know which name you are. Are you at the place where you're just a humble beginner? Most of us are. I am. Okay? And we always humble beginners at some level. Are you the person who is fixed and set in spiritual thoughts? This is your set point. Are you the person who has had revelation and is now teaching? I'm now teaching y'all. Are you the person who has full wisdom and has put that wisdom into action, is now making change, who eventually becomes Enoch, walking with God totally on earth, unable to be bought by women, money, or power, who eventually gives way to Noah, who brings on the flood. It's a cause and effect relationship. It's not people. This is why the Bible is not written as a history book. See, if you read the book, you would be like, why are they telling me about this lineage? How come they keep telling me these names? I don't care who was born to who. It doesn't really matter like that. Most pastors even, they'll just skip over it. It's like, well, this Seth gave birth to da-da-da-da, and they'll skip all of this. And then they'll go down to, then Noah came. Because it's a nice big story of a flood. But what they're missing is, they're missing every single stage of spiritual development that the Hebrew translation of the Bible exposes to help you understand where you are. That's what's going on with the Bible. The Bible is designed to get you out of ignorance and bring you into an awakened state to make you realize, hold on, how could they write this? And how could I'm experiencing this journey? How many people are experiencing this? How many people are experiencing this? How many people are experiencing being a humble beginner, having dwelt, and then that leading to you being, you dwelling in spirit, leading to you praising because it's revelations that come to you, insights that come to you, and moving into wisdom and action. You start doing things differently. How many people are doing this? A whole bunch, right? Everybody is going through this to some degree. You are either Cain trying to kill off the conversation. You see those people in the chat. You are either of the lineage of Cain, people trying to shut down the whole conversation. I know it all. You should be listening to me. Stop listening to this guy talking to you. He's a blasphemer. He's evil. Why do I need this if I have science? Blah, blah, blah. That's this. And you got to have both in one place. That's why I don't even really want to block people unless they just distracted. Because the point is, you need to see, there is a whole slew of these people in the chat right now. They have to come here because ain't nothing happening over here. I'm telling you this because this is the world. You can't escape it. This is what it is. Now, most people in the chat are over here, realizing, hold on, I think that's true. I'm going through this right now. I'm having a direct experience of this. Now, can these people be this? Yes, because both natures are in one person. Both natures are in one person. So it's not like you don't have this nature. It's there. But what are you feeding? What are you giving life to? Have you killed off Abel? We all have. When we came into these physical bodies, guess what we did? We killed off Abel. We were physically dominated. That's every team. That's every team. Ego. Ego domination. It gets to a point where we gotta birth another one. See, this is symbolic. Can y'all see how this is symbolic? Can y'all see how y'all are this? This is your story. That this is signs, symbols, and allegories. It's not a history, but it's your story. It's your story. Can y'all see this? Anybody got any questions about this right now? See, there we go. If you know, you know. And guess what? This ain't me. This is not, I'm the king. No, it's just development. I'm a part of this lineage just like you are. Every one of us is. Every one of us is. On the ages. Let's talk about the ages. So I don't know if y'all realize, if y'all ever read the Bible, y'all see these ridiculous ages in there. If you know, you know. Okay, let me show you. It say Seth lived for 105 years old. Then he became a father of Enosh, but Seth lived to 807 years old. That's what you're talking about, right? You got Canaan lived 910 years. Right? Okay, y'all, that's what you're talking about? Let's talk about that. We could do that for a whole nother live. What the hell is going on with these ages? How is somebody living to 900? The numbers do not represent ages in the sense of time. You got to remember, whenever you're dealing with spirit, you're never dealing with time. It's not talking about time. It's talking about numbers. It's numerology. So that goes back to gematria. So gematria works under multiple different ways of understanding the letters and the numbers. It works from numerology as one of them. So if you take the number, let's take Seth. Seth lived to 912 years old. Seth lived to 912. So in numerology, somebody tell me what they reduce down to in numerology, if you know numerology.
It's 3.
Exactly. It reduces to 3. Now, is that a special number or what? Now, mind you, this is the foundation. The Trinity. It reduces down to 3. And that begins the rest of it. Can y'all see this? Now look, you can do this yourself. That's probably the easiest way. That's probably the easiest way. Just go down and look at the ages and then add them up. It will blow your mind. Every age is a numerological. It's a number. Go through it. It's going to blow your mind. And you can read the Bible and you can interpret the Bible even if you haven't had an awakening experience with the numerology aspect. That's why numerology is there. Because math don't require you to have a spiritual awakening to understand it. So numerology, you can reduce these numbers down to the single digit or the master number 11, 22, or 33. And understand, okay, what is this referring to? What vibration is this? Once you go to the 3 in numerology, or you understand the symbology of 3, which is Trinity, spirit, soul, body, when you realize the Trinity, you understand, okay, yeah, 3 creates all other things. It's always 3. And you know that if you ever studied the universe, studied yourself, study anything, it's always a 3. The triangle-based shape, yeah, it's an activity. Even if you study tarot, the 3rd card in the deck is always an active element. It's the first place of activity is a 3 if you study tarot. So all of this is showing you, it's demonstrating where this comes from. Anybody got, but that's this. I hope this gave you some insight. If y'all want this live, put yes in the chat. We can get the live to you. I already posted the lives from the other 2 days. If you want these lives, click yes, put yes in the chat, and I can get you this live. Okay? You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. This is the kind of stuff that I love studying. And by the way, it's not hard to study. It takes you to just sit down. Alicia gonna be messaging y'all. Right? She gonna be messaging y'all. Okay? You're welcome. If you want this, click yes in the chat. But the key thing here is you can study this yourself. I recommend you study it yourself. Just look at every name in the Bible and then ask ChatGPT, what's the Hebrew translation of this name? And give me the meaning of each letter in the name. It's going to show you things that a pastor has never told you, or any spiritual being, the spiritual scholars, even especially the scholars. Scholars are academic. Don't ever trust just an academic, a strictly academic person. Okay? Explain Noah 5. 5 is the number of change. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 5, yeah. 5 is a number of change. So think about how Noah brought that change and initiated the flood in. Just think about that. That's 5. Think about that. Oh, Solomon's temple. We're going to do it's going to be a whole live on Solomon's temple. The temple of wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody got any other questions? Well, the prophets that use numerology, they didn't directly use numerology, but anytime you see a number in the Bible, it's numerological. Anytime you see it, it's numerological. We'll do a whole broadcast on numbers. Let's just do that. We'll do a whole broadcast on numbers. We'll come tomorrow. If you come tomorrow, we can do numbers. Well, tomorrow, Christmas. I gotta do a video on Christmas. 666 is the number of man. It's 3, which is the Trinity, but dualistic. So it's 2. It's really not 2 number ones. But the dualistic mind makes 2 3s. That represents physicality. It represents the physical. So when you see 666, it's a mockery of the Trinity, is what it is. It's an inversion of the Trinity. It's making everything double. And nothing's double. It's only single. So when you see 666, it says that's the number of man. The mark of the beast is the number of man. And it's actually man's desire for physical things and physical power. Okay? That's how that works. So we could talk about that another day. But understand this, y'all. The Adam and Eve lineage has nothing to do with history. It would not be in the Bible if it... Nobody cares about a damn who's your father, okay? No one cares about that. What it shows is what each level means. Once you see that this is yours, this is your progress, you can read the Bible differently. And once you realize this lineage leads to death and you felt that too, you can kill this off and have Seth be born in you. The foundation of your new self can be born in you. You get to choose that. Okay? So, I absolutely love y'all. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. We're going to come on not tomorrow, but the next day. We're going to do some New Year's stuff. You know, we got to get this going.
I can only send them the thing from...
Accept you?
Yeah.
Y'all got to actually accept Leisha, Empathy Empire, not Christmas Day, the day after. Start my lives around 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. right around that time. Day after. Love y'all. Have a beautiful day.